Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my take on November 12th, 2019 full moon in Taurus. Now, as far as the basic meaning goes of a full moon in astrology, this could be very full, very powerful, unrestrained, uninhibited emotional expression. It could be the unleashing of very powerful emotions where they may have been very suppressed for a very protracted period and finally comes out. Now, given that this is Taurus energy, I mean, you're talking about the full moon being in Taurus. A lot of this could be attributed to perhaps very persistent goading. And really, where people just might not be able to take it anymore, whether it's due to derogatory remarks or what have you, or determined provocation. Uh, this could also be, I mean, looking at this as well, it could be becoming angry over a monetary situation or maybe a value system. This could be also, I mean, given that this is going to be, I mean, you're talking about the full moon in Taurus, this could affect, I mean, all signs collectively, but especially Taurus and Cancer. Now, Taurus, because it's going to be in their own sign, of course, and Cancer, because the moon does rule the sign. And a lot, this could be very strongly attributed to why the zodiac sign Cancer can be so moody, temperamental, and fickle. Now, when you have a full moon in astrology, there could be a much greater propensity for accidents. It could be due to the case of the stubborns. Well, you cut me off, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do whatever you did to me. It could be due to greed or avarice, perhaps racing for the money, so to speak. It could be over something monetary, trying to rush to the ATM machine. It could be due to indulging while driving, or I mean, gluttony, trying to devour some food while someone's driving. Even vanity, looking in mirrors. Taurus energy could I mean, be vain, I believe, in a very negative manifestation. Now, when you're talking about this as well, I mean, full moons in astrology can represent the ending or completion or culmination of something. This could be the end of something that may have required a lot of persistence, endurance, patience, perseverance. It could be something, a possession that you may finally decide to get rid of, or it's outdated, you don't need it anymore. It could be something monetary. It could be some materialism. It could be something where looking at this as well, I mean, it could be something where you might have something you simply stubbornly held on to for a certain period of time, or maybe a period of overindulgence or even sensuality. Might be time where you might be trying to eliminate it at this point in time. Now, also, too, full moons in astrology can be about revelations and unveilings. Now, some cases this could be about this revelation of maybe somebody that might be overly acquisitive or avaricious or greedy. It could be a lost item or possession that is finally uncovered and found. It could be some kind of revelation over somebody that might have been overly stubborn or obstinate, or simply a person that may have been unwilling to expand the horizons. If it falls in the first house in one's natal chart, it could be something where the individual might have a self-revelation to become very cognizant of the fact that he or she has had very strong difficulty in expanding the horizons and is really maybe a too down-to-earth outlook on life. I'm going to have this conjunct my ascendant, so it's going to be very similar for me. I could see, a revelation like that taking place for me in this instance. It could be a revelation or unveiling of maybe an overly gluttonous streak, overindulgence, avaricious qualities, and maybe just being overly stolid, overly impassive. Um, Now, also, too, when you're talking about full moons in astrology, it can be a time where someone simply becomes tired, full, or exasperated at something or some situation. It could be where someone becomes tired, exasperated, or full, so to speak. It's somebody could be overly acquisitive or avaricious, greedy. It could be a certain monetary situation that might be limiting. I'm going to have this hitting my Saturn in my natal chart, so it could be over a limited, my Saturn in Taurus, so it could be where I might finally become tired or exasperated over a limited monetary situation. Or it could even be where one becomes tired or full or exasperated, so to speak. It's something or someone that might be tied into being overly obstinate, stubborn, maybe stagnant, somebody that's just very immovable in their ways, so to speak, a person that might be overly indolent or overindulgent at this time. Now, it's also important to look at the house this falls in one's natal chart, as this, of course, could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now, mine is going to fall in my 12th house in my natal chart. Now, this could manifest in a multitude of ways, of course. This could be about a revelation or unveiling of a Taurus, a hidden adversary. It could be a Taurus sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Taurus characteristics. It's going to conjunct my Saturn as well. So, I mean, you look at the aspects it makes as well, because, of course, that could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now, it's going to make a conjunction to my natal Saturn, so it could be an older person that might be revealed as that hidden adversary or enemy at this time. But at the same time, it could also be about just the fact that it's hitting my 12th house. I mean, the 12th house is the house of self-undoing in astrology. So maybe just by me being overly, stagnant, having a very strong aversion to change, which could be Taurus qualities, and being overly obstinate and intransigent about things, perhaps that's attributed to self-undoing and secret sorrows, and maybe I'm not really fully, may not have really been fully consciously aware of it, but may do so at this point in time as well. So anyway, and also the fact that it's going to conjunct my ascendant, I'm hoping that this is not going to be some revelation or unveiling of something with the physical body, because it's hitting Saturn as well, and that could be a limitation with the physical body, such as something with the throat, the neck, vocal cords, jugular vein. I am hoping that it's not going to be anything that major, given it's a full moon, and as opposed to being like a super moon or a lunar eclipse. Hopefully nothing that serious. But anyway, now again, it's also looking at the aspects it makes to points in the chart can be significant, as well as this could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now mine is going to conjunct my natal ascendant, and it's going to be conjunct my Saturn as well, because I have a Saturn conjunct ascendant aspect in my natal chart. Now this could be in some cases about a revelation, perhaps being overly pessimistic, and really just being really overly pessimistic, not really changing, having that strong aversion to change, given that I have Taurus rising, being overly pessimistic, of course, the Saturn on the ascendant, and being overly negative might be tied in to self-undoing at this time, given that this is going to fall in my 12th house. Now, in some cases, this could manifest in the end or some completion or culmination of a Taurus-like career, especially if this falls in what I call one of the money houses, the 2nd, 6th, or 10th house in one's natal chart. It could be something where a position is, say, a financial advisor, anything with finance comes to an end, something with accounting, agriculture, architecture, something with art, which could, of course, cover a wide divergence of things such as drawing, painting, sculpting, graphic art, design, abstract art, are doing something which is connected with understanding the value of something, such as work as a pawnbroker. Now, if this falls in the 1st or the 6th house in one's natal chart, this could be something of perhaps a revelation or disclosure of a Taurus-related, health-related matter, such as something with the throat, the neck, vocal cords. It could be something simple, like a simple cough or cold, something with the jugular vein, and also the aspects it makes. Say if this falls in your 1st or 6th house in your natal chart, look at the aspects as well. I mean, let's say it makes an adverse aspect to your natal Uranus. It could be something more of a sporadic or intermittent nature. Say, like if you have, like if this hits your first or sixth house, it makes an adverse aspect to your natal Uranus. Some cases it could be like some jugular vein having some kind of intermittent twitch, or something more again of a sporadic or erratic nature, something that may come and go. Now, now, it's also important to look at the electional aspects this makes, as this could impact the delineation and interpretation. It's going to make an opposition to Mercury and Scorpio at this time. Hold on a moment, people. Now, this could be a time, because you have this opposition aspect, this could be where you may, it's adversarial, where you could be making that full declaration for peace and tranquility, which of course is the full moon in Taurus energy, versus vengeful communication and even thinking. So that is something where, looking at this, you could have that you have this opposition, so that could cause a little exasperation and frustration and tension at this time as well. Now, the fact, though, this is going to make a trine to Saturn, though, this could be in some cases manifest in some structured monetary settlement that could be disclosed at this time. So that could be very auspicious as far as that goes. Now, what I want to talk about, too, as far as Sabian symbols go, this is going to fall at 19 degrees. Now, given that it's the full moon, it could be something connected with the revelation or unveiling. It could be the revelation, and based on the being at 19 degrees Taurus, it could be the revelation in some cases of a very shrewd, arrogant person that might be trying to besmirch or vilify the character of others. And what it is, it could be debt to these people, whoever may be trying to do this at this time. It could wind up causing ostracism from those that are very close to them. It could be about really self-inflicted energy and oneself undoing at this time. Now, it's also important to look at the other transits to the natal chart as this time, as they could be amplified and intensified due to the fact that it's occurring at the time of this full moon in Taurus. Now, mine is going to make a conjunction to my north node, to my the transit north node in Cancer is going to make a conjunction to my natal sun in Cancer. So you're talking about transits that involve the north node in astrology. This could be about issues one may have to address, confront. It could be a Cancerian, perhaps health-related matter. The sun can be connected with the physical body to some degree, even though I believe the ascendant is strongly more associated with those issues. But given that, it could be some issue I might have to deal with connected with the chest area, or something with the stomach at this time, or even some Cancerian basic wants, such as something with home and family related issues. And of course, it's a very significant transit because you're talking about the north node making a conjunction to one's natal sun. So it's obviously could be a very significant point in my life at this time. And of course, that energy could be very strongly intensified due to the fact it's falling on the full moon. Now, other electional aspects can be intensified at this time as well. You're going to have the Saturn in the long conjunction, perhaps to the south node. And of course, the south node is moving away from Saturn at this time. So when you have that kind of energy, that could actually be very auspicious for going away from something Saturn related, such as something maybe some kind of authority or somebody that was over you at some point in time, like a supervisor or manager. And given that this is the full moon in Taurus, this is a very opportune time for that, because the fact when you could be ending something that could be monetary related, a Taurus profession, or maybe a position where you might have been in a subordinate or subservient role, because Taurus energy, of course, could thrive in that, but you could be going away from that at this time. And especially you're having that transit with the south node conjunct Saturn, but moving away from Saturn. So that's a very good sign for people that are trying to end something where they were in a subordinate position, they were under the auspices of somebody else, and ready to move forward and maybe embark on something which may be a little bit more enterprising, because you're going to have Uranus transit in Taurus still at this time, and that could be really about a lot of freedom and independence as far as something of a monetary nature goes in generating income. Now, the thing about this too is now, I mean, some other examples I want to talk about as far as houses this could fall in. Now, let's say if this, I mean, this falls in one's fifth house in one's natal chart. This could be, in some cases, the end of a very persistent or tenacious or stubborn gambling speculation, or maybe the ending of something, maybe a hobby that had endured for some time, or some kind of Taurus-related sport such as weightlifting, or something that had to do with endurance such as long distance. I mean, weightlifting can be connected with endurance. I see that as Taurus-related, or even some kind of track, something which required long distance running, again, something which is involving endurance. If it falls in the seventh house, it could manifest perhaps in some kind of maybe a settlement at this time, like maybe some monetary legal settlement that could come to an end, or maybe some kind of relationship that was very persistent and very enduring may come to a completion or culmination at this time. In the eighth house, it could be something, maybe a major change or transformation which required a lot of persistence, perseverance, and patience, or monetary transformation comes to an end, or even an inheritance might be revealed or unveiled at this time as well. So those are some ways that this can manifest and pan out at this time. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my take on the November 12th, 2019 full moon in Taurus. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.